28 miles an hour. We're in sport. Yeah, we're in sport. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Drop to gear. 40, 50, 60, 61, 61, 61. that is so quick. Oh, it's fun. I've missed driving good cars, you know. Welcome back to Petrol Poodle for finally another review. I'm sorry it's been nearly 6 months. I went out to get some milk. It's been a while. So we're finally back, and what better car than a Kia? Obviously I get a lot of you requesting Kia content, you know, it's like... But do you know what? Luxury performance cars. I put this in here with luxury performance cars, absolutely no doubt, and I absolutely adore this. I think it is hugely underrated, and hence the title of this video. Now is the time to get a Kia Stinger GTS. When I talk to petrolhead friends and I say my brother's just bought a Kia Stinger, there are those who seem to know what it is, and they, without knowing much about it yet, they just immediately go, oh, it's a Kia. No, I'm all right, I'm good, thanks. There's the other half who didn't even bother investigating. And then of those of the first half, you know, I think some people did find it a little bit hard to stomach the 40 grand, or if you're in America, the $50,000 for a Kia thing. Personally, I couldn't give a shit. I do not care what badge is on a car, because for 99% of the time, I'm going to be driving it by myself, me living with the car, and my real friends don't really care what I drive. So, a quick table of contents for you before we get started. Obviously, we're going to talk about the exterior, the interior, the drive, things to look out for, running costs, the verdict, etc, etc, etc. We're going to also talk about what luxury actually is. Because, yes, now is the time to reconsider the Stinger. Let's get started. So why is now the time? Well, because Kia offers a 7-year warranty. So you could buy a 4-year-old car that's depreciated and still it has the same warranty as that brand new BMW, that brand new Mercedes, the brand new Audi that you might be thinking of buying. And suddenly this makes it quite an interesting choice, really. At the same time, let's say, in like my brother's case, let's say that your budget is between £25,000 and £30,000. And let's say you want an Audi S5 or a BMW 440i or something like that, 2018, that kind of age, you want it to be modern. What do you actually get for that money, and which one becomes the luxury car? So this is my perspective on it, okay? And I can take myself apart on this, don't worry. But so car A, you have, oh me, the spec list is huge on this car. Heated front seats, cooled front seats, a 15-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, 360-degree parking, adaptive cruise control. It'll actually slow down and speed up for you on the motorway. It'll brake for you. It'll steer for you. It has a sunroof. It has heated seats in the back of the car. It has a heated steering wheel. It has a heads-up display. It has a power electric operated tailgate which goes up and down for you. We've got wireless charging, we've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, we've got Brembo brakes as standard, we've got adaptable suspension, we've got an LSD. All of this led by Albert Biermann, ex-BMW M Division chief dude. Interior designed by ex-Audi interior designer Peter Schreier. So I don't know where at this point people are unable to see that this is a luxury car with proper credentials. That's your £28,000, okay? Now, let's say an Audi S5. Now, this gets difficult because depending on how crazy you're willing to go with mileage, you can get ones with higher spec, right? But the few that I looked at around the same price were heated seats, Audi sound system, parking sensors, LED lights, less horsepower, 2 years out of warranty. That's not pooing on the Audi, by the way, because they're fantastic cars. I drove a really nice A5 in Amsterdam, loved it. I totally get it. And if you've always aspired to have an Audi and you've been saving up, working hard, getting your promotions or whatever it is, and that S5 is what you've always wanted, go and get it. You'll love it. They're fantastic, honestly. But I just sit here and I'm trying to raise the profile of the Kia as opposed to bringing the German cars down. Let me make that clear. I love the way this thing looks. It's kind of muscular, it can be aggressive in certain angles, it can be classy. I very much like my brother's description, which is it's kind of like a classy gentleman who you could tell used to box in the Navy. You've actually got a decent ground clearance here, which means you don't have to shit yourself every time you see a speed bump. And that's the beauty of having a GT focused car over Buying the car that is super duper track focused and you only track it once or less a year, and then you sit there clenching over every single pothole or undulation. As my brother's pointed out, he sees this as a security feature, because where he is in London, people are having their cars stolen left, right and centre. I don't think anyone's going to want to bother. So, you know, one man's junk, another man's treasure. Because this isn't a saloon, it's not quite a coupe, it's technically a hatchback. To show you the scale of the camera rucksack, I've got a 6'3" schoolboy to put on the rucksack for you now, so you get a good idea of actually how big that is compared to someone who's quite big. So now that's in the car, you can see this thing is absolutely massive. Anyway, I know this was a long intro, I do apologise. There's just so much I want to say about this damn car. First impressions when I first sat in a Kia Stinger. Well, a lot better than I was expecting it to be. You know, the videos I had seen, people talk about immediate comparisons with German cars, and obviously they've been practicing this for a lot longer, so tiny little details are slightly better or slightly nicer quality. So I was expecting it to feel a little bit bargain bucket in here, and it really doesn't to me, honestly. So I really like the weight of these little orbital air vents here. They feel really, really nice, and the action on the little dials and stuff, like the little things that you move and touch, the metal buttons, like everything, oh, that's a hazard. Everything feels really good to the touch. Nice quality leather on this wheel here, perforated. Really like the thickness on it as well, actually. I think these little paddle shifters could feel a little bit better, but it's really crazy what price they brought this in compared to what everyone else is selling their cars for. So that's an easy sacrifice. But very nice quality, the stitching, the leather, this Napa leather on the seats, really, really nice. Comfortable, I like these seats. They could be more comfortable, but this is someone who now comes from a Volvo. So I'm now used to armchair comfort, but these are really good. If you went full Matt Watson spec and you went hunting for scratchy plastic, oh, scratchy plastic. Yeah, well, you can go looking for it, but who in their right mind plays with the plastic on the interior tunnel down here? You don't. You've got soft touch leather up here. You've got leather where your eyes see. You've got stitching. You've got nice swooping, you know, kind of metallic lines. You've got the Harman Kardon tweeters, the mid speakers here. Everything is looking good in here. As for the spec list, well, I did just go through all those at the beginning, but I will try and put on screen everything and you can have a little pause. But really, otherwise, quality is great. Everything feels fabulous. When you get in the car, the steering wheel comes towards you and it pushes your seat back to where you were. Love those touches. But finally, I'm sorry it's taken this long. Let's get this thing out on the road, for the love of God. So I'm going to give it its first little squirt here. That does pick up speed nicely. Good gravy. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing you'll notice in this car driving, and that should be, hopefully, the comfort. It's not what this car majors on, of course, but being a GT, it is obviously designed to be good long distance. And the seats are decent, it's soaking up the bumps very nicely. You can tell the car's got a sporty edge. It doesn't feel wallowy, it doesn't actually feel its weight, which is 1,850-ish kilos. So she's quite a lardy lovely, but it doesn't feel that at the moment. And the steering, even in comfort mode, the steering feels very alert, and you know that you bought something fun, even though at the moment it's kind of hiding this part of its personality. That was a hideous pothole. Driving in the UK is like driving over a teenager's forehead. It's an absolute shambles. It's a mess. And this is where, actually, it brings me on to why a GT car makes a lot of sense in the UK if you don't actually take your car on track, which actually is sadly is the majority of people. I think more people should get on track and experience the cars they've spent the time and money on. But let's say you're not one of those people and you just drive around, go on holiday, take people places, have a bit of fun on your favourite B road. And actually having something like this is a very good shout. That's enough suspension chat. We have got a 365 brake horsepower, 3.3 litre twin turbo V6. That rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This thing goes like stink, by the way. So bearing in mind you've got, you know, what did I say, 1,855 kilos to launch about here. It can do 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. That's quick. It's fast by anybody's standards, and on European roads, it feels quick all the time. So it's got plenty of torque down low, plenty of power up at 6,000 RPM in the brake horsepower terms. It's a very, very nice engine. I'm driving it in comfort spec. It's relaxing, it's great, and recommended, by the way, is that if you pop it with the drive mode down here into smart mode, people have found they get significantly better MPG with this. And yet, obviously, if you then start driving it around like a pillock, the idea is that it understands and it will put you into sport mode automatically. Now let's talk about sport. So you pop this thing into sport, and I love this bit. The bolsters on the seats squeeze you. It's just a little thing that you forget about, but you're like, the car's telling you, let's do this, we're ready for a bit more. And now all of a sudden the throttle response on this, good God, like I'm barely touching it. What? 3, 2, 1. Drop the gear. 40, 50, 60, 61, 61, 61. That is so quick. Oh, it's fun. I've missed driving good cars, So, did you notice something there? First criticism. Yay, he can criticise. First thing that isn't the best thing about this car, and I did notice it the first time I got in, is it could be louder. You have picked the exciting car of the range. You've picked the thing that you want to go out and have a lot of fun in as well as cruise around, and it's just not quite like, I don't mind fake induction noise. It actually doesn't bother me. If it's a choice of silence, near silence, or have some excitement, I'll pick excitement whether it's true or not. But the fact is, 3.3 litre V6, you could do with hearing it a bit more. Easily fixed doing that, and that is put a baller exhaust on and have a great time. Obviously, this does pay off that when you're on a long cruise, it's just like any other car if you're going to have the quiet exhaust on it. In America, they have the sport exhaust option, and for some reason in Europe, that didn't really seem to come here, I don't believe. It must be a noise regulation thing here. It didn't make it. So that's a bit of a shame. So we've done the engine. It's quick. It's fuel efficient? Ooh, not really. But that's another downside to this car. But if you're going to spend 25, 30k on a car in the first place, whatever your monthlies are to make it work, unless you're doing, spaceship miles, I think you'll be okay. But I'm going to put some honest John real MPG figures of a few of the rivals now. This is when real owners, submit their average figures, and it gives it to you one nice neat figure. We're talking, as you've probably seen now, 28-ish, and that is what kind of Tom agrees he gets. On a long motorway run down to Bath, I think it was, with just 2 people, he managed to get 35 or 6, I think he got 36 out of it, which isn't bad, is it really, for a nearly 2-ton, 370 horsepower car? That's not bad going. This 8-speed gearbox it's great. The whole time I've been talking, I haven't really noticed it, which is always a good thing when you're doing some smooth driving and stuff. It was pretty quick dropping it then when we gave it some. I'm sure I've experienced quicker, but it didn't feel annoyingly slow. You've got your paddles here. It's going through those pretty damn quick. Anyway, once you put it into sport mode, it really kind of heightens up the sensitivity of the steering. And for my personal taste, I think I actually prefer it in comfort, which you often hear. But to be fair to it, I haven't yet really found the best B-road in the world to lob this thing about. Now, depending on how I've cut this intro to the video, I may or may not have covered this yet. It might seem like I'm taking a few pops and a few shots at German cars here, and I don't really mean to. For example, if you've always wanted that BMW and it's always been the thing that you've been excited about, you've saved up, you've got your promotions and stuff, or that Audi or that whatever, and you've worked your way up the Audi tree so far, go and get the one that makes you happy, right? Luxury is, back to the conversation of luxury again, it is that car, it is that thing that makes you feel special. It is that thing that is more expensive than it needs to be. It is often that thing that others recognize as a sense of achievement. And I think that is a perfectly understandable, perfectly justifiable reason to buy something else. And if you buy something else with less toys, but it gives you a certain feeling, and that feeling is more important to you than a spec list and a little bit more, well, considerably more reliability, Well then, you know, horses for courses. That's fair enough. Not everybody is the same. But I think, here's how I put this. Anybody who buys a Kia Stinger GTS, I think there are close to 0% of people who regret buying one, right? If you buy a German alternative, as long as it works, you're going to love it. You're not going to regret buying it. But I all too often, whatever the brand is, I read so many horror stories that are really heartbreaking of people buying stuff which is, you know, 10 grand bills, 12 grand bills out of warranty. And you might have made that £450 a month work for you when you decided to put down 2 grand on a car. Now you've got £500-600 a month. But did you have 12 grand up your sleeve for a failed gearbox and something else? Not always. It can be really poo. A friend of mine recently bought an Audi A1 with 90,000 miles full history. She bought the car for 4.5 grand. Within 3 weeks, it had 6 grand of work that needed doing to it. And it's just heartbreaking because she couldn't afford to fix it, because it's more than the value of the car. And there's times like that where I find myself instinctively warning people that you just need to be able to keep up with the running cost. You need to be able to factor in surprises. Now, back to the Kia. Well, at the moment, it's impossible to buy one out of warranty, pretty much. At the time of recording this, you know, you've still got 2.5 years warranty left on most of the 2018s. You've got 3, 4, 5, 6 years left on the others. And in order to have kept that warranty, they have to have been serviced twice a year by Kia. So you don't find any of these online that haven't got their full Kia history, right? They've all been looked after meticulously by a company that places a bet with you that it's going to work for 7 years, or they'll pay for it if it doesn't. And that's a really nice bit of peace of mind. And regardless of what your income is, it's a very nice feeling that if something goes wrong, somebody else is going to bend over backwards, apologise, hand you a courtesy car, take it away, fix it for you, free of charge, and you'll be driving around something perfectly nice until the work is done. Now, one of the things I've just said here about the full history has actually just reminded me that when Tom was looking at Volvo XC60s, and actually F-Types as well, he found it really hard to get the exact spec thing he wanted. Oh, this one's got the panel roof, but that one's got the heated seats. Ah, okay. In comparison, these Kia Stinger GTSs in the UK, they come with every single optional extra every time. How easy is that as a buying experience? You pick the colour you like, you pick the interior colour you like. That's basically it. And even if it's got very high mileage, it's still covered for probably the remainder of the lifetime of you owning it. Overall, if it's not obvious enough, I absolutely love this car. I just adore it, and I feel so sorry for Kia that despite all the efforts, they didn't sell that well, because I'm not going to knock people for it. I just think it's a real shame how much people hold on to brand image. You know, if you've got a friend around the pub table who doesn't earn as well as the rest of you and you love them dearly, do you care whether they drive a Peugeot or a Jaguar? You don't. But the weirdest thing is we all hold ourselves to a different standard. Oh, what would people think of me like if I bought a Kia instead of a BMW? I just also think that's a bit of a shame that you would turn your back on amazing cars like this, that for the money would give you like almost a guaranteed good ownership experience. Okay, it's time for me to counter a little something here. Reliability versus build quality. They are two different things in my opinion. So, the Kia has the better reliability, a bit like, you know, a Toyota will outlast a cockroach, but it won't have that delightful German car luxury feel. And this Kia, in nearly every way, it's close. It's really, really close. But one of the things that owners complain about, particularly I think pre-2020 when they had a little facelift, or 21, is the sunroof is creaky. It's a bit of a design flaw, and it can be quite a noisy sunroof. So deliberately, Tom leaves this shut like this when he doesn't have it fully open. Went to the dealer, under warranty, went back, they greased the rails on it or something like that, and it improved it, but it still occasionally makes noise. And so to coherently conclude the Kia Stinger review, should you consider one now? I hope I've made the case that you should. And their strap line is the power to surprise. And I hate to fall into the hands of a brand's actual strap line, but I think they are on the money with this one. These cars seem to be able to do it all. You can take a family with a boot full. You can commute in peace and quiet and just relax with a good sound system. You can have it take over the drive for you. It seems to be able to do everything, but not quite without compromise. At the end of the day, if you are one of those people that's surrounded by petrol head friends or people that have a slight interest in cars, a bit like I've had to today, you kind of have to explain why it's good because it's a Kia. You might have to get past that. Fuel economy is not fantastic on it. It's not appalling, but as someone that thought I could stomach 27 mpg all year round once, 18,000 miles in a year later, I couldn't do it. And I had to change car. It just hurt to spend £300 a month back then when fuel was really cheap, by the way. That's not ideal. The regular servicing thing, it's a good thing and a bad thing. If you're a buyer, it's amazing because all of these have been done. They all have to have it for their warranty. If you're now an owner, you have to book it in every 6 months. As I've said, common problems, they don't really exist yet. And if they do, not your problem. They'll fix that. What's right for you? What would excite you? With 30 grand to your name, and if it had to have 5 seats, let's say, and a bit of practicality, so you don't just go F-typing or whatever, what would you get and why? I'd love to hear. Please subscribe. There will be more videos to come and they will be more frequent, I promise. So thanks very much if you made it this far. Take care. Toodaloo.